Joining me now is a man whose push to rein in the central bank has spawned grassroots movements all across the country that have catapulted him to oversee the Fed as the new chair of the House Subcommittee on Domestic Monetary Policy. Congressman Ron Paul, thank you for joining us on this special edition of Freedom Watch. In a nutshell,
thank you, Judge. Good to be with you.
Thank you. In a nutshell, Congressman, how has the Fed destroyed the value of money? What has it done to us in the nearly 100 years it's been in existence?
Well, its policy is deliberate devaluation of the currency just by increasing units. If you increase the units of substance, the value per unit goes down. So they've been doing this systematically since 1913, and now we're working on a dollar that's worth 2 cents compared to 1913. And they do it with an understanding, or at least a belief in their hearts, that they can do central economic planning through manipulation of money supply and interest rates. And they can't do it. It's totally impossible. Central economic planning by the Federal Reserve is no more feasible than the central economic planning of the Soviet system, where they controlled everything. Money is one half of everything that we do, every transaction. So when the Fed manipulates that and manipulates the interest rates, they change savings, they change interest rates, they bail out their friends, they encourage deficits, and worst of all, they encourage big government. Because though there's some individuals here in Washington that always want to fight every war there is around the world, and they don't have to tax people, they just run up the debt and the Fed prints it. And if you like welfare, they do the same thing. So over these years, until we've gotten into trouble, the conservatives and liberals were close allies in supporting the Fed. But now that the failure of the system has come, the Fed is being challenged, and rightfully so.
You have been a champion of this argument, this very articulate and compelling argument that you just nicely summarized for us, for 20 or 30 years. And there was a time when people didn't listen to you. Now, suddenly, the argument that you have made, that central planning doesn't work, that private initiative and low taxes do, is being accepted by larger numbers of people in the government and out. And you, much to the delight of many of the folks watching us now and the surprise of others, are now likely to be in a position in a month as chair of a subcommittee in the House of Representatives where you actually will have some ability to call the Fed into account. Are people's attitudes about the Fed, about the central planning of our economy, changing?
Oh, absolutely. The last 3 or 4 years, it's been dramatic. And it has to do with the educational system. You know the free market economists that are more prevalent today, the work that you have done, the books that you have written. A lot of people read this, and there's a different understanding. But that was laying the groundwork. What really was the clincher was the failure of the system in 2007, 2008. People got scared. They're still scared. They don't know what's happening, and they've lost confidence in the Fed. Before, the Fed got a free ride. They got credit for the boom times, and then when we had a bust and had a recession, they always got credit for getting us out of it. Instead of getting blamed for a boom time and rewarding special interests and then bailing out their friends, now they're getting blamed for this, and they need scrutiny. That is why the first and foremost job that I have is to audit and review and examine the Fed. We want transparency of it. That's the responsibility of the Congress, and that's what the American people want.
That is music to the ears of millions of freedom-loving people around the world, that Ron Paul gets to review the Fed. Congressman Paul, thanks very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Judge.